to shore up their finals ambitions. New fullback Scott Wilson is in dazzling form, showing uncanny ball skills, as is Terry Lamb, but with one big difference: experience. He'll be going head-to-head against Penrith 5'8" Brad Fittler. Plagued by injuries all season, in the last 2 weeks, the Panthers have started to show what might have been. Mark McGaw in the centres has finally lived up to the name Sparkles. Last week, they lost in the last 10 minutes to the Canberra Raiders. This week, they want to see it through and take a scalp from the top 5. Live from Belmore Sports Ground, it's the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Penrith Panthers. Hello everyone, welcome to a windy winter's day in Sydney, but the sun's shining and everything's set for a very important match for the Bulldogs today. Losing to Brisbane last week, Arthur Beetson, was that a hiccup or a stomach ulcer, and how would Chris Anderson approach it?
Well, he'd be approaching this game with a lot of caution. They'd be trying to regain a lot of confidence. They haven't been playing all that well in the last couple of weeks, but he would also be looking towards the semi-finals, and he'd be hoping for a top 3 playoff position, so it's a must-win for the Bulldogs today.
And on the other hand, the Panthers really took Canberra to the wire last week, but today they're without Greg Alexander, obviously one of their best.
Well, they'll miss Greg Alexander, but they're getting that solid look about them. They've got Barry Walker back, and plus they've got a few players playing up to their form. Gray Mackay's playing well, and Sparkles McGaw certainly having a couple of big ones, and yeah, it should be a great contest between him and Jarrod McCracken.
Canterbury, right through the season, have been a very solid team. They've been playing well week in, week out. What do you think has been the secret of it?
Well, I think their halves have been playing well. Well, the back 3, really. You're talking about Jimmy Dymock, who's played well in the lock-forward position, and also their 2 halves, Craig Polla-Mounter and Terry Lamb. They form a very good base for a very mobile outfit.
They have got a little bit of a problem in the front row at the moment, with Mark Brokenshire out injured, and Gavin Hill apparently has a cracked sternum. He's battling on with it, but that just weakens the front row a little.
Well, it certainly does, but Martin Bella's really been shouldering a lot of the responsibilities up front. But the thing that I like about Martin Bella this year, he's always been a tough, hard yardage getter, but this year he's starting to offload a lot of balls, and he's a much more dangerous player.
Well, really, it's Dean Pay who's had to move up from the second row to the front row. He's the one who's got to support Martin Bella.
Well, he's playing very well. Dean Pay's a solid front rower who's got some improving ball skills.
Now, Penrith, through the season, they've been worried by injuries, severe injuries. I mean, they've really taken a toll of their best players, and it's been their forward pack that has been suffering most. Barry Walker, as you mentioned, back in there, and Brad Fittler has been at lock. Here come the Bulldogs. Terry Lamb leads them out. Jarrod McCracken and Gary Connolly. What a sparkling centre pair it is at the moment. The 2 internationals combining. Darren Smith with headgear in hand. At fullback is Scott Wilson. Paul Doolan comes onto the wing for the injured Brett Dallas, who's out for a month. Gary Connolly and Jarrod McCracken in the centres. Jason Williams on the wing. Terry Lamb at 5'8". Craig Polla-Mounter is the halfback. Jim Dymock in great form at lock forward. You've got the Smith brothers in the second row. Darren and Jason. Up front, it's Martin Bella, Jim Serdaris and Dean Pay. Jarrod McCracken, the Kiwi international, a very strong performer, and Arthur, you're looking forward to the battle between he and McGaw.
Well, I reckon the Sparks will fly today.
The Sparkles, yeah. It should be a tremendous battle. They both hit very hard. Terry Lamb, the mercurial Terry Lamb, one of 3 players sin-binned last week for Canterbury, and that hurt them against Brisbane. What a fine player he is. And I'm just wondering who will be doing the goal kicking. It could be Terry Lamb today. Gavin Hill on the bench. Luke Goodwin has been in reserve grade, out injured at the moment, Luke Goodwin.
With a $500 fine hanging over their head, the Bulldogs.
Every time they get sin bin.
That's exactly right. I wouldn't expect any of them wanting to be in the sin bin today.
Martin Bella, another man who visited the bin last week, but he's had a great season. Now the Mountain men. Brad Fittler is skippering them today. And Paul Clarke, who's just signed with Parramatta, comes out second. It's been a very frustrating season for Phil Gould and his boys. Maybe they can knock off the front runners today. Fullback is Tony Xuereb. Graham Mackay, one of the wingers. The centre partners, Ryan Girdler and Mark McGaw. Ashley Gordon getting one of his rarer chances on the wing. Brad Fittler at 5'8". Steve Carter is the halfback. Brett Gillard, the former East player, at lock forward. Phil Adamson and Carl MacNamara in the second row. Barry Walker, Danny Farrar and Paul Clarke, the front rowers. And down on the sideline, Johnny Peard.
G'day, Warren. conditions down here, a little windy, but the wind blowing across the field, so not to either advantage to any side. This should be a very physical clash because Canterbury is a big physical side, but they're up against a side that can produce the sparks also in Penrith. They're a big side, and they're coming good at the right end of the season for their own personal satisfaction only, I'm sad to say, because Penrith is a wonderful club. Should be a great clash.
Should be a tough clash. The referee is David Manson. Pretty good crowd has come in because it was pouring rain 2 hours ago, and the ground has dried up pretty well in this wind with the sun breaking through. Terry Lamb drives it deep, and Phil Adamson to bring it back. Matt Adamson is now playing fullback in the under-21s. He's been dropped down. And Danny Farrar goes into dummy half. Out to Clarke. Pops a pass away to Xuereb running off him. A fullback up in support. And they're 30 metres out from their own post. Farrar in a dummy half. Out to Gillard, who East had on their books earlier in the season, but released him midway through, and he was snapped up by Penrith. As Carter shoots for touch, down to Williams.
Gillard's a very fine young player. There's a penalty going against Penrith here for creeping inside the 10 metres. But talking about Brett Gillard, of course, Penrith lost Colin Vandervoort, and they needed someone to replace him in the workload department, and Brett Gillard certainly fits that bill.
East released quite a few players before the June 30 deadline. Dennis Beecroft, Kraft, I should say, Gavin Orr, Brett Gillard, for some of them. I don't know what that really does for club spirit. As Bella plays it back on the blind side, it goes to Dymock, picks up Smith, up to the 20. Williams at dummy half, Polla-Mounter feeding it on to Pay. And McCracken now, leaping into the tackle. Up on top of him was Carter with Gillard. Still only 20 out. Lamb. Connolly loses it backwards. It was back, but Penrith have got it anyway. Coming up with it was Fittler. Now Graham Mackay. Really, the injury list for Penrith tells the story for them this season. Greg Alexander out today with a knee injury. Colin Vandervoort has missed most of the year with an ankle problem. John Cartwright out with a shoulder worry. Paul Smith, the winger, has missed most of the season, and Paul Quinn, one of their up-and-comers. That's just the players who are out at the moment through the year. They've had Alexander out, Walker, Girdler, Gordon, Clarke, McGaw, Mackay, all out for lengthy periods, and they just haven't been able to put their best team on the paddock.
Well, I think everyone goes through those sort of periods. You'd find it every club. If you ask Parramatta, they've got something like 12 players out, and there's no doubt of these. You see a turnover here.
Bad mistake by Scott Wilson. It's play on as it quickly goes out to MacNamara. He slips it away to Carter backing up. Tremendous football to quickly take advantage there by Penrith. A terrible error by Scott Wilson under no pressure at all from the bomb. Carter inside to Xuereb, 9 metres out. The wind is blowing into the face of Penrith. Wilson may have misjudged the kick as the wind got hold of it. That's the excuse for him. Fittler passing to Mackay. He goes without it. And Canterbury finally managed to come up with a ball, much-needed ball.
Yeah, there was a chance out wide there, but Jarrod McCracken read that short ball well, and Mackay coming with the shoulder of Freddie Fittler. But I would have liked to see Freddie taking the defence on a little bit more speed.
And Arthur can put that error down to the wind, I think, by Scott Wilson. It's all over the place, this wind, but did move in the air, that ball, and completely confused Scott Wilson.
We can take a look at for and against and see that both teams pretty well positioned about where they are on the ladder. Canterbury with 367 points in attack to Penrith's 246. Penrith's defensive record places them 13th on the ladder in terms of defence. 320 points they've given away, and that's just too many compared to Canterbury's 197.
We have a player down in background.
Darren Smith's the player.
Ashley Gordon. Transferring from Newcastle, hasn't had the season he would have hoped for. It's been injuries and lack of form have kept him in reserve grade much too often.
I'm talking of young Scott Wilson. I've had a plea from Gus Wilson. Will you leave him alone today, John?
Well, Darren Smith hurt in that tackle.
It's a bit hard to leave Gus alone. He's full of faults.
Fittler, one off the ruck, goes wide, only has his winger with him out there. And Hay and McCracken stop him. 10 short of halfway. Farrar, Carter, knocked down. Canterbury have got it back. And no signal from the referee, was there?
No, it wasn't played up, but of course it's first tackle charged down, but it was a pretty ordinary kick, and that's probably one area that they will miss Greg Alexander. He has probably, arguably, along with Ricky Stewart, the best kicking game in the competition.
Bella. Gillard tries to wrap the ball up and does it. Underneath was Adamson. Polla-Mounter to Lamb. Inside is Wilson. Gets away from Walker. Now a great pass to McCracken. Carter comes to him. He beats that tackle and scores the try. Jarrod McCracken. Well, a tackle that should have been made by Steve Carter. But it was all started by the bigger men from Canterbury, and Jarrod McCracken finishing it off. He's a very strong, powerful centre.
There were two crucial matches. Watch the tackle here, missed by Barry Walker out wide. They get on the skirt, the handoff to Barry Walker behind. He should have made the tackle, and of course Carter coming over in cover defence. Maybe he tried to hand him off, and which he did there, but maybe the fullback should have come in and locked him up also.
Scott Wilson coming from behind here, and Barry Walker arm grabbing at him, and a nice ball away to McCracken, and it was Carter trying to go over the top to prevent the pass, and he didn't make enough effort to put the man on the ground.
Yeah, well, Xuereb was at fault here too, because he took it for granted that Carter was going to make the tackle, but this was a case here of not launching, hitting with the shoulders. It was a matter of the arms making contact first before the shoulder. That was a tackle, two tackles that should have been made, and a great start for the Bulldogs.
Jarrod McCracken, the 22-year-old with a big future, was playing up in Port Macquarie on the north coast of New South Wales in 1990, and then joined Canterbury in 91. A captain of the junior Kiwis back in 1989. Terry Lamb right in front has kicked 9 from 19, and the flags are up to improve his average, which is below 50%. And Canterbury leads 6 points to 0.
Yeah, Canterbury possession by courtesy of a charge down, but that's a good inside ball. Barry Walker should have wrapped up Scott Wilson, but that's a terrific bit of work by Wilson. And Carter, he was held off by McCracken. He thought McCracken was going to step infield. He's a big lad too, with a bit of pace. And Peter Moore went up to Port Macquarie to have a look at Rex Turpin, came home with Jarrod McCracken.
Maybe we're being a bit harsh, John, on Barry Walker there, because Scott Wilson did show a couple of pair of Fred Astaire feet, didn't he?
Oh, he's got great feet, unlike his father. He's got two left feet, his father. But yeah, great feet by Scott Wilson. He's been in sensational form in recent weeks, but really, it was a first-up tackle that Barry Walker should have got. You know, he'll regret that, but you don't get any second chances in this game.
Dean Pate driven back by Adamson and Walker. As Serdaris gets it out to Bella. He's hit hard by Gillard, but the weight of Martin Bella makes a few more metres. 3 of them had a go at him. It was like a boulder. Serdaris feeding it away, and Jason Smith running off him. Last tackle, Lamb hooks it to the far side, and Gordon there to pick it up. He thought that they were offside. The referee thought not. He was going to have a good look at them, Ashley Gordon, as Xuereb goes away in the earlier games today. In the under-21s, a win to Penrith, 32-6. And in reserve grade, Canterbury too good, 12 points to 4. And the Panthers on the bottom of the reserve grade ladder. And that just shows the injury toll has filtered down to the reserve grade as well. Farrar to Xuereb on the burst. Nice football over the halfway. Taken by Connolly. MacNamara. Fittler puts Girdler into space. Stepping nicely. Walker now. Pass floating over the top. Back it goes. Fittler's got it.
They have numbers.
Carter. A good tackle from Darren Smith. The ball on the ground and Smith's got it.
Yeah, tremendous work by Darren Smith. He not only smothered the attack there, but he came up with the possession also. And I thought that... Well, here's a penalty once again against Penrith for inside the 10 metres, but I thought that Penrith were a little bit unlucky the previous ruck, because Canterbury were definitely offside. And here it is out on the right-hand side. We can see the pivot defence jumping.
Darren Smith was obviously being worried by some kind of injury. I'm not sure whether it's his hand or his stomach, but he's grabbed twice in a tackle.
Could possibly be a rib cartilage. Looking at that.
As Bella gets within 11 metres. And they put him gently to ground after lifting him. Farrar and Walker were under him, and Clarke. Now Pay trying to unload out the back as he turned into the defence. Not far from the post. Polla-Mounter, Lamb, inside to McCracken, fending and getting the pass away to Polla-Mounter. Still only 10 out. Back go Penrith to their goal line. Dymock, long ball intended for Smith, couldn't handle. Play on, says the referee. Out it goes to Williams, running off Jason Smith. The last pass. And the referee's checking with the touch judge, but I thought that was knocked on.
Well, I thought so too, but it's good to see David Manson at least come across and consult with his touch judge. I thought that could have happened last night with the...
In the Parramatta-Brisbane game. Now this ball here...
Definitely knocked on.
And great refereeing, because the referee Manson was going to play on, and it was only the touch judge that's told him about it.
Yeah, but even allowing for that, I thought that he missed the forward pass in the last pass also.
A near thing for Penrith, nevertheless.
Well, and that Darren Smith, his problem is a wrist injury. Causing a fair bit of concern too. He'll probably blame that drop on it.
And the ball was a little low, and with an injured wrist, he's probably got a pretty good excuse for dropping it.
They did create numbers down there, John.
Yeah, in a lot of trouble, Penrith. But they've looked enterprising, Penrith. McGaw starting to run a little bit, step inside, pick up inside support. But Canterbury, very good at that inside support when they change the direction. Lamb goes wide, flicks it into McCracken, he picks up inside support. There's a real problem there around the back of the play the ball area for Penrith.
And when they returned to that left side, they came in numbers, and Girdler came in, but Gordon didn't come in with him.
No, well, that's their game, Canterbury. They just get to the centre field, and Terry Lamb's good enough to pick off the side with the least number of heads, and that's the one they head for.
Last tackle as Farrar kicks ahead, and back goes Doolan. The ball finds touch, and that was a good set of 6 for Penrith. They got the ball 10 metres out from their own line. They've gone to the opposition 20. Good strong work by Walker and Adamson there.
We'll say Danny Farrar, they're just popping out from the dummy half area. I thought that he might have chipped, but he elected for the sideline.
And Phil Gould had a very successful representative season with New South Wales, but not so on the club level.
Of course, he's playing against his old club, but he'd love nothing better than to come up with a winner.
Well, of course, Phil Gould led Penrith to the premiership in 1991, and he was in charge of Canterbury in 1988.
That's right.
When they won the grand final, so he's got a pretty good record with both clubs. Canterbury in possession. 25 metres short of halfway as Serdaris dummies to the right, gets it to Williams on his left, and Williams drags them a few more metres. Bella on the blind side. And the big shout from the crowd, "Go, Marty!" Takes a bit of stopping. Hay, quick ball onto Dymock, they're calling for it wide. Smith, on it goes to Connolly now. The kick ahead. The referee has found a forward pass.
Well, I didn't think there was anything wrong with that, but I've got to give Mark McGaw a bit of a rap there for his sliding defence. He covered 4 players. Watch Mark McGaw on the inside. One there, Smith. Maybe it was a touch forward too.
Oh, I think allowing for movement, that was fair enough.
Yeah, that was right in front of me, Warren. There was nothing wrong with that pass, but that's Canterbury. They can just get numbers on the edge of the ruck. They did it well then, but as Arthur said, McGaw did well. He had about 3 players to contend with.
They were running on the last tackle. Penrith have got it back now. Carter coming from the deep. Fittler wings it back to Walker. They're going backwards. MacNamara now straightening it up. Good offloading, though, as it goes to Girdler. Over the top. Adamson keeping it alive well here, Penrith. Showing some enterprise.
Well, certainly making the Canterbury defence work, but they're not getting him beyond the advantage line.
Clarke, good pass back to Farrar. Nice offload. Last tackle now for Penrith. They're 30 metres out. Xuereb's up in the line. And up it goes. High, coming down on the 20. Adamson goes for it. He's locked up, and that's the last tackle. Good defence by Canterbury. As soon as he got it, they were swarming over him. Carter getting a roar from the crowd. Does sometimes slip a little high. That tackle was on Wilson.
Smith's off. Darren Centre, 41, is the new player for Canterbury.
15 minutes of play gone. Canterbury leading 6 points to 0.
The kid, he does well, Danny Farrar. Johnny's a good little hitter for an ex-halfback.
Yeah, it's good work by Phil Gill, I think, to slot him in there because he's got all the attributes.
I thought that was definitely a knock on. Martin Bella knocked that ball on. It came off McGaw and Martin Bella again, so I think that Manson missed that one. He ruled 6 more to boot.
And Pay just getting a pass away to Lamb. Here's the earlier incident. You're right, Arthur, good eyes. But then Pay slipping a ball to Lamb in a lot of traffic. There was no percentage in it. They managed to hold on to it. Polla-Mounter outside Lamb this time. Halfway through, he is through. Away he goes, inside is the support of Connolly. Comes to Xuereb, floats it over the top, intercepted on the far side. Well, Ryan Girdler got back there.
Well, he had people on the outside. He'd have been better off playing the ball if he couldn't find someone in open spaces, but there were enough numbers there. Although that try was butchered.
Isn't Polla-Mounter a dangerous player? He's making a lot of breaks. Not so much already in this game, but week in, week out, Polla-Mounter cracking the defence. And now the penalty goes to Penrith against Canterbury, holding on in the tackle.
I think Jimmy Serdaris is the man. We have a look here, the Polla-Mounter break. Shows the ball, sells the dummy, and it's MacNamara and Farrar who missed the tackle. But we see Connolly backing up. He's got... Well, really, I suppose that's good coverage by Penrith when we have a look. They had man-for-man coverage.
Still had a couple of tackles to go in the count.
Yeah, quick play of the ball would have sufficed.
A good run from Farrar. Canterbury slow to move up on the blind side. Fittler off his left foot.
Well, that's better football from Penrith. I'd like to see Freddie Fittler taking the defence on a lot more.
Walker through the dummy. In fact, he was going to pass to Gillard, but he realised the defence was right up on top of his support. Carter. Outside his man and through he goes. He's got support. Finds a 2 in Adamson. On it goes to Girdler. Girdler sprints through. And a great Penrith try. And a reward for the offloading. The keeping alive of the ball that Penrith have shown. They score their first try. And Ryan Girdler finishing it off with a sharp turn of speed. It looked as if the cover might get to him. It's Canterbury 6, Penrith 4. Kick to come for the Panthers. Steve Carter started it. He got outside Jason Smith there, got through the hole. Beautiful pass to Phil Adamson, backing him up nicely, and he swings it on to Girdler. And the despairing dive of Serdaris not good enough.
Yeah, well, Canterbury did have numbers, but Smith here bought the dummy. A man came back inside here, and all Smith had to do was take Carter, but good support play here by Adamson, the flicking up the back door, and Girdler's once again there, sliding over for the try.
Nice long balls to get it wide, and then Steve Carter just shows a bit of speed. He likes to beat the man on the outside, and wasn't a good support play by Adamson.
It certainly was, and Adamson really, it was his try, even though Carter did all the work, because it was Smith that bought the dummy when he turned back inside. Smith turned his body and couldn't take Carter on the outside.
Graham Mackay attempting the goal, and he swings it straight across the face. They haven't got Greg Alexander out there, and Ryan Girdler not given the kicking role. Graham Mackay misses it 6-4 to the Bulldogs.
Well, the gap between Smith, there's 11, and McCracken was just a bit too big in that occasion, but Adamson did well. He was the decoy runner inside, and he was good enough to back up and then flick the ball to Girdler. Good play, good variation from Penrith.
I'm surprised that Ryan Girdler didn't take the shot at goal. He scored 118 points in 20 games for Illawarra last year.
He's having a few problems. Warren, he's on the sideline. He's got a neck problem by the look of it. That's probably why he didn't take the shot.
Well, that's it. He looked as if he was okay as he went across the line.
Gee, once again we see Martin Bella, and this is a good return of the football from the kick-off. Carl MacNamara showing great strength. He's a fine young forward.
Clarke.
And Clarke just signed with the Parramatta.
A handy signing because he's a very consistent front rower. Always makes ground. We suddenly feel as if the cat's among the pigeons here. We've got a game on our hands. Panthers among the Bulldogs. 6-4 to the Bulldogs at the 20-minute mark. Fittler driving deep into wide open spaces, and Wilson has a long chase. Kick's gone a little too far. Touching goal. Back to the 20 for the tap.
Yeah, just a little bit too much weight, but that appears to be the favourite side because the wind is blowing in that direction. Just a little bit too much weight on this as Fittler kicks for the wide open spaces. It'll be a little bit disappointed in the end result.
A good record for Canterbury here at Belmore over the years against Penrith. 24 meetings. And Canterbury have won 17 of them. And this season, of course, Canterbury very strong. They've lost only 2 out of 7 at Belmore. And in the first round, defeating Penrith 21-8. That was at Penrith. Lamb with a back line. Connolly into open spaces. He goes. Steve Carter coming in cover. Inside support from Darren Centre. Good tackle by Xuereb, and Doolan can't hang on to the pass. It flicked out of his hand as he grabbed for it a little behind him.
And at that time, McGaw was caught out, but they just had the numbers here. McGaw can't make the tackle on Connolly. Connolly throws it back in to centre, and here's Doolan just knocking that ball on. So a let-off really for Penrith.
Very frustrating for coaches too. When they made a good bust like that, all you want them to do is play the ball and keep the pressure on. But all the pressure off now with Penrith in possession.
Chris Anderson chewing away on the gum very intently. MacNamara taken by Serdaris. Walker.
It's twice we've seen Canterbury having numbers on their right side, which is Mark McGaw's side to defend.
Paul Clarke throwing a miracle ball up for Adamson, or a miracle that Adamson managed to take it. That was a risky one. Both teams taking a few chances. It's making for good entertaining play though, as Farrar's caught on the halfway. Xuereb backing him up.
Both teams unloading in possession too, Warren, and they're both big packs of forwards.
Ooh, heavy tackle by centre on Carter as he got the kick away. Now he pulls Carter back to his feet. Wilson bounces away from Girdler.
There's the hit, the charge down by centre.
Williams to play it, 10 short of halfway. Smith. Clarke and Gillard over the top, assisting MacNamara. Dymock, Lamb. Intercepted by Mackay. There's no one in front of him. Martin Bellows got no chance of cutting off Graham Mackay, and Jim Dymock couldn't go with him either. And Penrith hit the front courtesy of an intercept. 8 points to 6.
I suppose the temptation was there. They did have the numbers down this right-hand side once again.
Well, they've had the numbers numerous times, and here it is, Terry Lamb looking to throw the long ball to cut out Connolly, and Graham Mackay snapped it out of the air. Dymock and Bella couldn't catch Graham Mackay.
We go back, the ball should have gone to Connolly. Connolly was in space. We have a look from here. We can see Connolly was the man in space. And what does he say? Mackay just said, thank you very much. You've made my life a lot easier, and takes the intercept. And it's a possible 6-pointer.
Well, very easy. I've seen a number of intercepts in recent games with the pass just being forced a little, and Graham Mackay sitting there in between the centre and the winger. Mackay knew he was in trouble because they had the overlap, and he positioned himself very nicely in the end. And he will continue the kicking. Last year, Graham Mackay had a 100% average. He kicked 3 from 3. This year he's kicked, well, it was 2 from 4 coming into the game. Doesn't get a lot of shots at goal. 50% average for this season. Missed with his first shot today. Only a couple of paces back. Kicking into and across the breeze. And he hooks another one, not hitting him sweetly at all. And I wonder if Ryan Girdler's feeling well enough to take over or not.
Score remains
8 points to 6 in favour of the Panthers.
It's Terry Lamb in his normal position, 2 out, just trying to read the defence. This time he made a mistake. I think just a misdirected pass because Connolly started to angle into the hole. Could have given it to Connolly, he would have seen space also.
2 tries to Penrith in 5 minutes. They lead by only 2 points. It could easily be 6. Those 2 conversions not far off centre field.
Having said that too, Warren, but on that occasion there, had he given the pass to the right person, there's no doubt in my mind Canterbury should have scored.
Well, he normally does, doesn't he, Arthur? He's just a genius at reading the right guy to give the ball to.
Fittler plays it back to Farrar. Sorry, John.
Champions often, well, not often, but very rarely make mistakes, and we shouldn't be critical of him, I guess. He's given us a lot of pleasure over the years, the way he's just pinpointed the right player to give the ball to.
Adamson to play it, 10 short of halfway.
I wouldn't mind betting he'll make up for it, Arthur.
You're not wrong.
The kick goes straight down the throat of Scotty Wilson.
Well, I reckon there's no excuse for that, John. When you're kicking on the fourth tackle, you're entitled to miss the fullback.
Yeah, badly directed, that one. I mean, there's a lot of grass out there. He kicked it straight to Wilson.
You could see that Wilson was about to sprint across field, and he had to check himself and stop to take the ball, which was coming straight to him. Bella pounds over the halfway and goes a few more metres. Polla-Mounter, Lamb, wrapping around him as the halfback. Now Wilson, dancing off his right foot, but Farrar and Gillard lock him up. Lamb to Dymock, back inside centre, trying to look for support. Serdaris, Terry Lamb kicking on the last tackle. Tony Xuereb is back there and got a fortunate bounce, which carries it over the dead ball line. Really should have been there on the full.
Well, normally Xuereb does take a very good high ball, but on that occasion, the ball must have been swirling once again, and he did, as you said, get a fortunate bounce.
Plenty of talk out there from both teams. Paul Clarke hits it up. Canterbury with a few injury problems of their own, but players coming back in a week or two. Brett Dallas out for 4 weeks with stress fractures. Geordie Pete's out for the season with a knee injury. Simon Gillies broke his leg some time back. He'll be back in a month. Mark Brokenshire, well, it remains to be seen if he'll come back from a broken jaw. Gavin Hill on the bench. But all of those players, or some of those players at least, will be back come semi-final time if Canterbury are there, and it looks like they will be.
Yeah, Simon Gillies is one player that they do miss. He's a tremendous work rate, and he has great ball skills also. It's Carter here once again electing to kick on the fourth tackle, aiming for that right-hand touch line and gaining good territory.
And McCracken's off the field, and his replacement, Stephen Hughes, number 16. One of the famous Hughes clan, the youngest of Gary Hughes' son. Good breeding, this, equal to Star Kingdom.
And away goes Polla-Mounter. Looks as if Jarrod McCracken is limping slightly. Penalty goes to the Bulldogs, and he's going to call up Bill Adamson. Looks like use of the knee in the tackle. Referee Manson just touching his knee. Some kind of signal. A good kick too by Canterbury. Takes play 30 metres out now. Bella somehow managed to step past Phil Adamson. Pay gets it back. Serdaris, Polla-Mounter, Lamb quickly up there. On now to Hughes. His first touch. Well tackled by McGaw. Serdaris are only 10 out. It's Dymock now coming back inside. Penalty goes against Penrith up inside the 10. What will Canterbury do here? Lamb taking his time to make a decision, and he's going to shoot for goal. He's not going to do an Alan Langer. Even though Penrith were on the ropes, he's going to go for the goal. Yeah,
they'd never recovered the 10 metres. The Penrith defence was a good play the ball here, and I applaud the decision by David Manson.
I think Penrith will too, also, Arthur. And they'd rather have a shot at goal, I think. They're under a lot of pressure then from a Canterbury side, which was starting to move the ball around.
Maybe so, John, but I think, you know, points at this stage are the order of the day. So we'll bring it up to 8 all, and they might rue not having the shot at goal later on down the track.
Lamb close to the posts, adds 2 more, and levels the scores with 11 minutes till half-time. It's 8 points all here in Belmore. Terry Lamb does love his goal kicking. Must be frustrating for him not to have a few more shots at goal, but when you've got the likes of Gavin Hill in the side, well, you use him.
Well, you don't mind them from there, do you, John? You used to love them.
I used to eat those up, Arthur.
And Luke Goodwin's done quite a bit of kicking for them this year. He has something like 16 from 23 and a few field goals. Phil Gould, hoping his side can get the 2 points today. Just 5 wins for the season for the Panthers. 5 wins, 12 losses. And that doesn't compare too favourably to Canterbury's 13 wins, 4 losses. In fact, Canterbury's 4 losses this season to St George in round 6, Canberra in round 7, North in that nail-biter 18-17 when the 8-point try went against them, and then Brisbane in round 17 last week.
It's a very good defence by young Adamson once again.
Hay up to halfway. Last tackle coming up now. Penrith lucky not to concede a penalty in the play the ball as Lamb kicks away from Xuereb, and again it's going to take the bounce and just trickles over that dead ball line to release the pressure.
Well, it's amazing. This ground has really dried out, and the surface is very fast, as we saw with the bounce of that ball. Lamb just putting that ball down there, hoping that it had stopped around the in-goal area, but unfortunately it's too fast to track.
Bella and Pay have 19 hit-ups between them. So the 2 front rowers doing their job. Clarke can't slip the tackle of Jason Smith, who went low. Adamson, really mobile back rower, isn't he?
He certainly is, but they had numbers on that occasion, and the outside backs are a little bit slow to read that. His wide width here, numbers have gone back the wrong way.
Carter electing to kick rather than pass.
No, I thought that Carter should have gone for the short pass to the outside.
Williams finally knocked over. Polla-Mounter gets it away up to Doolan. But what do you think of the Canterbury policy of fining players sinned in $500? I mean, it's obviously would deter them from doing it, but do you think there's ever an occasion when it might go the wrong way, when it's a good idea to slow a player down and give away the sin?
Well, that's something they've got to, obviously they've got options on that, because you can't make it a set policy.
Well, I think it is. He does. Connolly running off Lamb to Wilson. Fullback on fullback. Scott Wilson beats the tackle. Barry Walker there in cover. Away go Canterbury once more. It's Connolly trying to stay alive. Stays on his feet 5 metres out. Slips it away now. Hughes is pulled out inches short, or just a metre or 2. They've got the numbers on the far side, but Lamb swings it wide to Bella. He leaves it behind and went back. Now it's with Williams.
Well, I'm sure that was a knock-on. I don't know what constitutes a knock-on.
Lamb trying to find centre. Last tackle coming up. I thought it went back from Bella. Played ahead. Penalty goes to Penrith against the man playing the ball in the ruck. And it was Darren Centre, I believe.
Yeah, Canterbury butchered this try. They had to come to the right. Instead, they went to the left, out to Martin Bella, who dropped the football. I thought he'd knocked on.
I think he lost it back.
Well, I don't know. I still did.
Here's the play the ball that brought it all to an end.
Well, he's played the ball forward. Did he have a marker?
Hard to tell, really, from that angle, whether the marker was right in front of him or not.
Yeah.
Referee Manson was very clear in his decision.
Well, he's probably ruled that he's walked off the mark more than played the ball forward.
A let-off for Penrith. They're back to the halfway. Adamson quickly swings it out to Mackay. Very smooth hands there from Adamson.
It certainly was, but it might have been different had Mackay had a full head of steam.
Gillard knocked over just inside Canterbury's half. They're saying it was a risky pass from Adamson.
Well, Mackay was standing still, you know. He's going to be hard to stop one-on-one with a little bit of steam over there. This is stupid.
Passes it straight to Canterbury. Didn't have a look, and Darren Centre might even have been calling for it. He might as well have. Bella. It was a very simple error by Kyle MacNamara. 8 points all. And this will be a high tackle against Paul Clarke. Referee Manson quick to blow the whistle.
These appear to be pretty innocuous, I don't know. You know, he's got the arm around there, but I've already seen Terry Lamb come up with a tackle like that, and there wasn't a penalty forthcoming.
Dean Pay, the victim.
Maybe from a different angle it might have looked different. Lamb
finds touch. Only gains 15 metres this time. Canterbury winning the penalties 5-2. And Canterbury do usually win the penalties. They've had more penalties than any other team in the competition through the season. 136 penalties going their way. 109 against.
Well, one would assume with those statistics they are a very well-disciplined side.
I was surprised to see them complaining about Bill Harrigan last week. I mean, when you've got that record, it's being a bit picky, isn't it? Hughes looking good. Couldn't flick the ball out. He had support. Didn't get to his feet to play it, but he was held. Polla-Mounter quickly onto Doolan. Mackay with a good tackle. Came in, all in all, hit him hard.
And there was numbers out the left this time. They could shift it quickly enough.
Mackay making a meal of getting off him. Referee allows play on. Serdaris goes to the line. Dymock in the hole. Out it goes to Hughes, and Hughes will score the try. Stephen Hughes bursting over the line, and he has been prominent since coming onto the field just a little while ago to replace Jarrod McCracken. And Hughes has never been too far from the ball. Neat piece of football here as they get the long passes to clear that massive Penrith defence, and Serdaris holds it up beautifully. Dymock running off his shoulder, a missed tackle there, which should have been made from behind on Hughes, but he finished it off very nicely.
Yeah, the key here is just the two wide passes. Serdaris moving onto the ball, but what a delightful ball here. Dymock just running into the hole, and there's young Hughes backing up short, and that was a timely try with about 4 minutes to go till half-time.
In the end, the defence moved up and opened the hole for him. I'm just not too sure who that man was on the outside going up, but opened the hole.
A very ordinary tackle there on the outside on young Hughes. Or was it on not Serdaris, Dymock? There was a missed tackle there, crucial tackle. It was missed.
So Stephen Hughes scores the try and allows Terry Lamb another easy potted goal. 2 from 2 so far. Right in front of the dot, he puts it over, and Canterbury back in charge, 14 points to 8 with just a few minutes till half-time.
Always a chance here. Look, the two big balls did it, but this fella did well. See how he held Farrar up? Farrar had to transfer himself outside to Dymock, who ran for the hole beautifully, and this bloke's got a bit of pace. Gary Hughes must have married someone who's fast.
He never was the fastest 5'8" in the game, Gary Hughes, was he?
Yeah, between the ears he was. He was a sensational thrower of the ball.
Great hands.
Tremendous, but this guy looks like he's got a bit more pace than the other son, Glenn Hughes, who's a very good prospect also.
Interesting, really, when you look at the junior development of Canterbury. There's plenty in reserve grade, but not many in the first grade. Peter Moore's scouting network works very well. He's got quite a few foreigners in the team. There's 2 from New Zealand, plus Gavin Hill on the bench makes 3. 3 from Souths, 5 from Queensland, and an Englishman. Terry Lamb's a local junior, and I think Dean Pay, is Dean Pay a local junior?
No, they're bringing onto their junior league very well, aren't they?
They might arrive in a few seasons' time. Here's Carter.
He's ruled that one, came off the leg of Farrar. But Serdaris did well in that movement, Arthur. You don't get too many hookers stuck too wide, too long passes, and they do the right thing. Because
you're right there.
Has got talent, hasn't he?
Someone had to cart the ball forward, John. It's all very well just the space being on the outside, but someone had to go to the line and commit that defence.
But then if you go to the line like that, you want someone like Dymock off you who can read a hole beautifully. Not only can he put players through holes, but he's just a great reader of the game, Dymock. He's been a good buy for Canterbury.
He's very strong, as you said, but I think the tackle that was missed was, I think it might have been by Girdler. That was a crucial tackle.
Last tackle for the Panthers. Fittler, cross-kicking. And coming through is Steve Carter, and Wilson had to wait for that to bounce.
I don't think it quite went where he wanted it to, Warren. I think he wanted to hook it over to this left-hand side of the field.
Yeah, he had chasers coming through in the shape of Mark McGaw.
The wind was just a little strong for him. It's fairly strong and blowing right across the field.
Jim Dymock, a former West player, takes the tackle, and Jim Serdaris, who's joining West next year, goes into dummy half. After just the 1 year, and a successful year it's been for the former Souths player, Jim Serdaris. Takes the tackle there, though. Didn't get away from Clarke. 5th tackle. kick from Smith, who somehow ended up in the road there. Jason Smith.
And obviously, Jason Smith got a problem with his knee also. So
on the far side, it's Girdler. Back to Fittler. And he makes a half break, taken from behind by Serdaris.
hello.
Jason Smith and Fittler had a few words and then seemed to embrace. Don't worry about it.
I think they feel a lot better about it. They're not people that want to be having fights out on the football field.
With $500 hanging over your head, I suppose the Canterbury bloke would think differently of it.
I think they were comparing haircuts, are they? A little rub on the back.
Now a good run from Xuereb. They're only 30 metres out. Last tackle, no, it's half-time, and I thought referee Manson might have allowed that play the ball, but he says that's enough. That's the first 40 over. There's some pretty good football in it too by both teams at various stages. Penrith hit the front. It was 8-all, but at half-time, it's Canterbury leading 14 points to 8. Those handling errors, it's 9-3. 9 handling errors by Canterbury. And the missed tackles.
Ladies and gentlemen, half-time replacement by the
Canterbury's
Panthers,
11.
number 29, Manson.
Brad Fittler gets the second half underway. Deep down towards the goal line. And Polla-Mounter trying to wait quite a while to get the bounce. Quick play the ball though. Away they go. And Johnny Peard, what's the word?
Well, the word from Canterbury, Chris Anderson would be very concerned about the speed of his defensive line. He wants them to get up there amongst Penrith a little bit earlier. Phil Gill concerned also about the first up defence. That has cost them dearly in the first half. And there's also a replacement in the Penrith side. Ryan Girdler's off, and number 29, Matt Singh, a youngster from the 21s. He's the replacement.
The sun still beaming down now. Very likely that we would have wet tails earlier in the day, but it hasn't turned out to be the case. And the field is providing some pretty fast and furious action in the first half. As McGaw has a go, and we haven't seen Mark McGaw with the ball in his hands all that often in the game.
And that was a strange play the ball there by Mark McGaw, but once again, Penrith really not supporting the ball carrier. We see MacNamara take it up, one out. That's not good enough. You must have support.
That's Cassell, number 40, Warren, another replacement. Also, Phil Gill's got number 15, Matt Donovan, also on the field.
Few changes to keep up with as Fittler lifts it high, right over the head of Wilson, who almost seemed to lose it. And will it go over the dead ball line? It does. So that breeze is carrying them fairly deep.
Yep, very strong, but really a nothing kick when you look at it. It was just launched high in the air. No chases, no chance for a chaser to put pressure on Scotty Wilson.
Away goes Martin Bella from the tap. We can check the top tacklers so far in the match. Terry Lamb leading the way for Canterbury. The 5'8" has made 19 tackles ahead of the front rowers, Hay and Serdaris. And for Penrith, more what we expect, Paul Clarke, Carl MacNamara with 19 each, and Brett Gillard.
He did well, Terry Lamb. They're almost losing that ball, but had the awareness. That ball was forward to Martin Bella. And that's Big Marty's 16th hit up. We have a look at here to Connolly. Shit. How far forward have they got to be?
Looked a lot worse on replay than it did with a naked eye, and it didn't look too good with a naked eye. Serdaris puts a kick through, and here comes the chase too.
Yeah, young Matt Singh did well there. He read that.
Steve Hughes was coming through smartly, and Singh got back. Now Gordon, taken by Lamb. He's a strong gritted Lamb, isn't he? Very short, but just all power and strength. Now McGaw's got it, but there's nowhere to go. Slammed backwards by Dymock and pushes him away. Clarke.
And once again, we see Terry Lamb up there. Not that they appear to be hitting, but they are getting just on the fringe of the rucks as Farrar tries to offload a ball.
Fullback Xuereb was flying through. Couldn't manage to get it, but Penrith have it.
Warren, it looks like Barry Walker's off and so's Brett Gillard. I wouldn't be surprised if we won't know till the scrum goes down, but this fella, Fittler, could have moved into the forwards.
Yeah, that's great work by Serdaris. If he didn't make the effort there, we see a great ball unloaded to Scott Wilson, but if he didn't make the effort to get back and cover that chip, they would have been in strife for Canterbury.
Nice pass from Lamb. On it goes quickly. through the hands of Jim Dymock. I don't think Jim Dymock's played cricket for Australia, has he? Wilson slipping it away now.
With his timing, he probably could, Warren.
Paid quickly over the advantage line. Good run.
A great tackle by MacNamara.
Serdaris now to Polla-Mounter. Lamb. Dummies inside, but they didn't fall for it. Troy Cassell and Steve Carter, the tacklers. Polla-Mounter kicking across field. Gordon's underneath it. Williams coming through. It goes to the fullback. Xuereb took it safely.
It's a good kick into the wind, Warren. That's the place to put them if you're going to put any altitude into the kicks. Kick them over to the left corner.
Yeah, centre pinched here for holding Xuereb down in the play the ball. And really, these are the penalties that you want to get when you're down in front of the post, goal post.
Troy Cassell's a former Canterbury player, isn't he?
That is exactly right. He played here this year and transferred mid-season, probably only about 6 weeks ago.
Another modern feature of the game, not one of its better features. That is Cassell. Adamson. And halfway through, almost knocked them away. Bella and Smith grappling with him, and now it's centre all over the top. Referee Manson has been a little bit lenient in that area, I feel. Now, Donovan loses it. The referee called held, I think.
No, stripped
In the end.
Yeah, the penalty going against Polla-Mounter. Polla-Mounter says, who, me, sir?
Did Donovan lose it?
No, the hand was in there. Connolly just flipped the ball out.
Well, that's a good call from the referee. Mind you, there's another case of really, should Donovan be expected to have a better grip on the ball than that?
Maybe so, but he did play at the football.
The rule, I'm not saying the referee ruled it the way it is in the book. Surely the attacking player should have to have a good grip on it. 20 metres out now. Mackay goes to dummy half. Fittler. Adamson. Jason Smith over the top.
And that was another perfect example of the Clarke tackle versus that tackle.
Cassell. Pass was too hard for Clarke. Xuereb's got it.
Yeah, there would have been a bit of danger had Clarke been able to hold on to that pass because he had Xuereb coming up in support.
Carter. Showing the ball on the outside, but dragged down. Lamb claiming Canterbury have got the ball. Referee Manson's going to play a knock on.
Now on this occasion, Carter getting on the outside. I wonder if it was any different to the situation where the ball was stripped by Connolly before.
Polla-Mounter darts down the blind side. Penrith were awake. The Bulldogs have got the back line set.
I'm just wondering, John, is young Singh any relation to Noel Singh, who used to play
2 half-time replacements for the Penrith Panthers.
Penrith many years ago?
He doesn't look like he's out of the stock, simply because here's Terry Lamb sticking him in half a break. He looks a bit slim on it. Noel Singh was fairly solid, only a little fella, but Wayne Singh, his son, plays with Eastern Suburbs, is fairly solid. I don't think it's a relative. It could be a relative, but certainly not from the same family. How's that?
I know what you're saying. Dymock. Back to Lamb. Williams losing ground. Now he goes forward. Taken by Gordon. They've used up 5 tackles, just short of the halfway. Serdaris. Kicking for Hughes and Wilson.
Good football.
And neat piece of football by Singh to Xuereb. They're 30 metres out from their own line, Penrith. Mackay. And he ran away from Dean Pay pretty easily. But there were more Canterbury tacklers coming up. With Bella in centre. Now Clarke. Bumping off Polla-Mounter. Seeing a few first-up tackles missed, but they're coming in numbers in defence.
Yeah, but they're not giving themselves a chance. Oh, an intercept.
Centre's got it. Pulling it in on the fingertips. That was a beauty.
And that's a penalty against Xuereb.
And a quick tap taken by Serdaris. On to Polla-Mounter. Away to Williams. Across comes the cover. And Singh makes the tackle.
I'm just wondering whether they should have taken the 2 points. But that's the way normally Canterbury go. They do take the quick taps.
Lamb. For Payne. Payne goes through. Beetson on the inside. And there's the try. The second one to Stephen Hughes. And a reward for the quick tap taken by Serdaris. 18 points to 8 all of a sudden. But still, it's a reasonable question. You ask Arthur, the goal shot right in front would have taken them away to an 8-point lead anyway. But here is where it all started. And pulling it in, it was Jason Smith who managed to make the intercept on the fingertips. And not long after, they took the quick tap, and away they go. And this is some very neat football as Dean Pay, coming from behind Terry Lamb, goes through the hole and fine support play by Stephen Hughes.
Yeah, the man at fault is Adamson here. He comes in. Terry Lamb was covered by MacNamara. Adamson leaves the hole, and it was a great try there by Hughes once again backing up. That's his second, isn't it?
Yep. 2 meat pies to Stephen Hughes. And I'm not too sure if this is his first grade debut. That's a great effort if it is.
I remember him scoring a try in reserve grade, so he's had a bit of a field day.
Now whether Terry Lamb gave the nod for the quick tap, he's getting his shot at goal now for the 3rd time. He's right in front of the sticks. And he has a perfect record. And Canterbury now in a very solid position, leading 20 points to 8, 10 minutes into the second half.
The Penrith defensive line, outside number 12. Look at the hole. Farrar tried to correct it and come in. But, you know, when Terry Lamb goes to the line like that, you've just got to get the support players off him. He'll deliver the right pass at the right time. He does so again. And Stephen Hughes, it's the 2nd time he's been used in first grade this season, Warren. Last week he had 20 minutes.
Well, a player of the future, the way he's been in the right place at the right time today. Wilson. We can check the missed tackles. Not a happy story there for Penrith. Canterbury have missed 14, Penrith 21. It's going to be hard work from now on from Penrith here. They're down by 12 points. They've got a few of their better players off the field. Lamb. When I say a few off the field, I mean players who started today. Phil Gould knows it's going to be uphill. Dymock. Lamb. Xuereb came forward to it, but there's plenty of defence there, and Connolly goes low, centre goes high.
Well, they've got to play with a little bit more enterprise now, Penrith. They're 12 points in arrears, and one would think that playing catch-up, they might come up with a few more mistakes, and that's exactly what Terry Lamb's hoping for. He's just playing the game down in Penrith's territory.
Mark McGaw showing some determination. He's decided to leave Penrith at the end of the season, so I guess he's trying to impress a few other clubs. Fittler. Donovan, quickly on to Adamson. Flings it out to Ashley Gordon. And Dymock across in cover.
There was some terrific skill then by Donovan. In and away, committed 2 players, and equally good skills by Adamson. There's
Jason Smith
a beautiful inside pass.
Lucky they're wearing different coloured jerseys. He might have got away with it.
Steve Carter looking for the inside pass, and all of a sudden, hello, everyone's doing their own refereeing. They gave him up.
Took it beautifully, positioned himself nicely, didn't he, Jason Smith? A chance for Penrith now. 6 tackles from just 20 metres out, and it's Cassell.
You don't leave him alone, he can offload.
Early big boy. Now Clarke. Crowd calling for a forward pass from the dummy half. Fittler looked like he was going to come one side, goes the other, goes to Carter. Out now to McGaw, reaching and taking well. Donovan for the line. Good tackle, Wilson.
A miraculous take by Mark McGaw.
Farrar. Poor pass to Carter. Another wobbly one, but Adamson takes off. He's got support. Out it go, Ashley Gordon, and went straight through his hands.
That was going to be a tough one, but I'm just wondering whether he should have thrown that ball. Here's the left arm offload around the corner, and I'm sure that he was covered by Williams.
That was a great pass in the end by Adamson, at least the skills to do it. Had the big, must have a big mitt, and he was really low to reach out.
Well, they can both do that, and of course he's noted for his left arm pass. young Adamson.
I thought that was a try gone begging myself. I thought Gordon could have caught that and stayed in the field of play.
The great hands, fingertip control shown by Hughes there. He picked that up on the half volley.
Canterbury leading 20 points to 8. And still 27 minutes of play to go. So Penrith trailing by 2 converted tries. There's centre. Knocked back by 3 players, but he's the one who gets to his feet much the quicker out of the lot. Connolly. And Clarke's across to make another tackle with Adamson. Martin Bella is getting through plenty of work. He's made 16 tackles, hit it up 18 times. And his front row mate, Dean Pay, 23 tackles, 11 hit-ups. And Xuereb decides to let it go over that touchline. Took the bounce.
Yeah, there's Polla-Mounter here. Polla-Mounter puts the kick out, angles it to that right-hand touchline, and Xuereb there just electing or allowing to let that ball go over the dead ball line. I beg your pardon, the touchline.
Dean Pace slow to get to the scrum. Donovan puts it in. Away goes Mackay. Graham Mackay hasn't been the force of last season this year. He's had a season interrupted by injuries. He was on the verge of state selection at one point.
He's had a bad knee all season, and I can remember one stage that he played virtually with an injury. He carried that for a while, but it's good to see that he is over his injuries.
This is the man who has carried Penrith. Brad Fittler has performed strongly every game. And of course, you've got to remember that Greg Alexander has missed a lot of football this year. And surprisingly, Alexander is still on the list of top scorers in the competition. Last tackle coming up now. Fittler pops the kick in behind Williams, and Jason Williams says, that'll do, you can have that 15 metres. Bit of a nothing kick.
Well, once again, yeah, they
steady.
Yeah, steady, but I think they would have been better off served, maybe just putting the ball in the air or even running it. 15 metres. They could have pinched 10 running it.
And again, Canterbury's slow to get to the scrum. They're in no hurry, they're leading. Lamb throwing the dummy as Wilson was coming up on the inside. But the defence was intent on chasing Terry Lamb. His support players might be finding a bit of space. Wilson, there were 2 markers and they weren't keeping their eye on Scott Wilson. Bella.
Yeah, it's a good tackle by young Donovan. Not renowned for his defence, but on that occasion he dropped poor old Marty and may even have injured him. It looks like he could have a hip problem. We see a great break made off a short pass.
Brad Fittler has not been back 10 metres in 3 tackles. He's out in the centres, cribbing all the time. Lamb almost bursting away. Can't hang on to it. You feel as if the life in this contest has suddenly gone down a notch.
Yeah, just trying to slip a ball around the corner there. There were numbers coming, but there seemed to be a drop-off in the intensity, especially by the Penrith players.
This game is not out of their reach, but they've got to play for it. Away goes Donovan.
Let's sing the halfback, Warren.
Getting the 2 of them confused.
Donovan's out in the centre. Fittler's at lock forward.
Now it's Fittler.
And Carter's at 5'8".
Back it comes now to sing. It's on to Donovan. Just inside the Canterbury half. McGaw. That's good stuff from McGaw. The pass wasn't so hot.
Yeah, it's a very ordinary pass. He did the good work, Sparkles, bumping off young Hughes, taking on Jason Wilson, trying to flick the left-hand pass around the corner to Ashley Gordon, but badly directed, really.
And a replacement in the Penrith side. Ashley Gordon off, Matt Adamson in 27, the new winger.
Well, he'll be pretty dangerous. It'll be a tough job to contain Matt Adamson. He's been a very good player when he was up in first grade, but they've also got a hot under-21 side.
Wilson cuts through. John, is that an indication of Phil Gould not being happy with Ashley Gordon's game?
Well, maybe his arms aren't long enough, Warren, to get hold of those passes from the other Adamson.
Another penalty goes to Canterbury. Steve Carter's the man who's going to be spoken to.
I think he'll go for the goal on this occasion. Terry Lamb is making sure that someone doesn't... There's a high tackle by Carter.
Well, it's a feature of Steve Carter's game that he must have been spoken to about during the season, but he continues to infringe with the tackle coming over the top of the ball and hitting opposition players somewhere around the chin.
And there's a number of players who have to change their technique under the present laws.
I'm not saying that Carter does much damage with them. I'm not saying he's intending to take the head off, but he gives away too many penalties. One of these days he might just get sent off. Mightn't seem like an important kick, but this could wrap up the match for Canterbury. They lead by 12 points. If Lamb lands this with 20 minutes to go, they'll be 2 converted tries and a goal away. 4 from 4 so far. 28 metres out. Make it 5 from 5. And make Canterbury just about home in this game. 22-8.
Yeah, it's a wonder that Terry Lamb, if we have a look here once again, here comes the penalty. They can't come any higher.
Right across the bush.
Penrith Panthers.
Fittler from halfway. Taken by Serdaris to Connolly. Gary Connolly was about to head back to England. It looked as if he would have to return as part of the international rulings, but now that he has signed with Wigan, he'll be okay to stay till the end of the season, and that's a tremendous boost for Canterbury's prospects of winning a grand final. Bella winds up. Metres gained shows Canterbury really getting on top in this second half. It was pretty even at half time, and they still have had more ball as well. They've been making a lot of ground, and a great pass comes back to Lamb on the burst.
He's had a very good game, Dean Pay. He's leading the tackle count, but he's also offloaded some great balls.
Centre goes without it. That ball wasn't one of the best ones of the day. That was one call for the ambulance.
Yeah, it was a high ball. You're not wrong, and you had Mark McGaw coming in. Here's that high ball. It was catchable, but it's not one that you want to be receiving in traffic. You want to be able to protect yourself.
Carter taken by Lamb, and Lamb always a competitor. If he gets you down, he certainly makes you feel it. Man on man with Carter there.
And at the moment, Penrith are all bunched, so they're not really spreading the Canterbury defence. Freddie Fittler trying to jump in there and direct a bit of traffic, but gee, they need a bit of width in their attack. They're not gonna. They're pretty easy pickings at the moment.
I think all the changes have knocked all the rhythm out of Penrith here. Fittler to McGaw, and that is Donovan, and another pass. How many times have we seen passes go over the touchline? Matt Adamson on the wing.
Yeah, cutting down the touchline, but someone forgot to straighten it up. He committed both players here, and Donovan didn't have the ability to offload that ball, catch it and offload it in the same instant.
There wasn't going to be much advantage for Adamson if he caught it, was there?
No, he would have had to do a lot of work to stay in.
Serdaris. Now it's centre, who's worked hard since coming onto the field. Interesting too that to date we haven't seen Gavin Hill, and I'm sure Chris Anderson will be more than happy to give Hill the week to just sit out on the sideline and allow his chest to heal up. 21st hit up for Martin Bella, and he gets slowly to his feet. And Dean Pay follows suit. Serdaris now. Hunting up the blind side to Jason Smith. Last tackle coming up. Lamb tries the grubber kick, and Terry Lamb can't get the bounce. Nor could Connolly. Good cover from Singh.
Gee, it just popped in behind the line, that little grubber, and had he got a foot to it or popped up for him, he had support coming with him.
Carter. Adamson running well. Farrar now slammed to ground. Of course, there's plenty of reason for Canterbury to try and pour on the points. That for and against record could be important. Come a tie for third place if that's where they end up.
Yeah, bit of a chance here, but Polla-Mounter coming up with a great tackle on Xuereb. A couple of nice offloads, one particularly from Cassell's.
And Xuereb unable to hang on. Now Canterbury will rest Martin Bella.
Whittaker 23, the replacement for Bella.
And the record, Martin Bella's turned 21 today. 21 tackles, 21 hit-ups.
And we see Serdaris take the ball from the scrum base.
Gavin Whittaker, his replacement.
Been a few yards around the marker area. Serdaris is making hay at the moment.
He took advantage. I said it was Dymock who took the ball from the scrum base, and he had support. This Serdaris going out from dummy half, trying to pick up Jason Williams, but unable to come up with the football.
Adamson just hit his arm as he went to pass.
There's a Queenslander replacing a Queenslander, young Whittaker from the town of Toowoomba.
You know all these Queenslanders, don't you?
No, they were on the mailing list.
Away goes Donovan. Farrar in a dummy half. To Singh, to Cassell. And that passage of play just shows the changes in this Penrith side. Those 3 or 4 passes involve no one who started the game. Fittler is deeper this time. On it goes to Adamson. The pass just sliding forward as Fittler came across field.
That was better play by Penrith. They had people coming in numbers onto the game line, and they were certainly in trouble.
There's a lesson, Arthur. There's a lesson how to run for a hole.
Yes.
Fittler came across field. Adamson's got a fair bit of skill. He ran for that hole beautifully.
There wasn't all that much in that pass either because Fittler was going backwards, fading backwards, and it makes it look a lot worse.
There's a rare scrum penalty. Feet across, I believe. Gee.
We're seeing everything today.
He must feel like a spell.
It's a differential penalty. You almost forget about them, don't you? You can't go for goal. And Terry Lamb calls the shots, tells them what set play they're going to put on. Whittaker knows his role. Let's take it up for the first. Lamb's out in the back line, quite wide. Polla-Mounter. Pay. Lamb was coming up. They're only 10 metres out here. Penrith short on the far side.
Still got numbers there, you're right.
Polla-Mounter comes to the left rather than the right. Maybe they'll go this time. Clarke trying to get wider on the right, but they come to the blind side again, and Smith is hit. I don't know what Canterbury are working for, but they want to be good. They've set it up. 7,500, the crowd. There's Wilson to Lamb now. Pass goes to no one. Finally, it's Hughes. To Dymock, good pass. On now to Pay. He's knocked to ground. Loses the ball. Play on, is it or not? No, referee will call it back for the knock on. He was playing the advantage. See if Penrith could get possession. And that was pretty ordinary set of 6 there for Canterbury, I thought.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether Dean Payne tried to offload that, but that was a tremendous tackle by Sparkles. Mark McGaw.
Maybe one Canterbury player went the wrong way. But it never came to anything from a perfect position to attack.
You're right, they should have persisted more to the right side. The numbers were there.
Mackay. Farrar, who has played halfback this season at times.
I just think he's wasted there, Freddie, in that pivot position. He's trying to get something moving.
He should be the one moving from outside in.
I agree with you, mate. He's just a wasted man there.
Finding it difficult to break the line now, Penrith. It comes out to Fittler, intending to hold it up for Xuereb, but withheld the pass because the defence was up. Fittler is strong, gets it away of sorts to Cassell.
You can play like that when you're about 34 and you're captain of Coonabarra brand.
Or in the Golden Oldies. Xuereb makes the bust on the last tackle. The kick rebounds off Lamb. That's six more tackles. Bit of luck as it came off Terry Lamb. I don't know whether he really played at it.
I don't think he played at that. I think all he did, he just happened to be in front of Xuereb, had run out of options, and virtually the last option was to kick.
Just short of the halfway. Singh. Still on the halfway. Farrar darts the blind side, gets 10 metres, gets 15.
He's made some yards from dummy half. Unfortunately, he hasn't been supported.
Penrith have got a back line here. They're deep, they're well spread. Carter comes across field. Cuts out a couple, gets it to Donovan. But Hughes read it nicely, stayed on his man. Fifth tackle now coming up. McGaw to Adamson, steams up the middle, finds some space. There's no winger there, he just rolls it back hoping, and Donovan is crunched on the last tackle. That's a handover.
Yes, Adamson, I don't think he was aware of the fact that it was the last tackle, but there was a bit of loose defence up Canterbury's middle, and in the end he had to push it past. It was no value to anyone.
Stephen Hughes down on the ground with cramp, almost got trampled. Whittaker pops a heavy tackle from Farrar. Clarke over the top. Canterbury leading 22-8. 10 minutes to go. Jason Smith to Wilson. Took it nicely. On to Lamb. Now Connolly. McGaw comes in with a shoulder charge and then swarms all over him. Finishes him off.
It's a very dangerous tackle, even though he was coming in on the blind side, because it's all using the shoulders, and you know, someone can spin out of those tackles. It's either hit or miss sometimes. They run the football.
Running it on the last. Dymock back inside to Pay. Fittler gets in. On it goes to Serdaris now. Back to Dymock. Great hand. Beautiful football to Pay. Over the top. It deserves a try. Doolan finally picks it up. Can he go over? He can. That was great football by the forwards. The finish may have been a little sloppy as the last pass out in the direction of Doolan didn't find him for a long time. 26 points to 8. But what about the interpassing between Dymock and Pay in the centre of the field here? Crisscrossing, running the angles. Lovely stuff. Jason Smith to Dymock, to Pay. Serdaris, all the forwards involved. Another change of angle from Serdaris, or from Dymock it was, to Pay, over the top. And Paul Doolan. Wingers just love finishing it off when they see the forwards make the hard
You wouldn't know much about that, would you, Warren? But this is a game they probably play in a grid. Keep the ball alive, and they've just crisscrossed, and the ball eventually gets out to the winger, Doolan, and he has too much speed for Mackay, but tremendous work up front by the Pigs.
No wonder that when Paul Doolan got it, there was no one out there, because they'd all been dragged in trying to cut it off. Paul Doolan almost went to St George in 1990, but the Dragons didn't want him. He went to Canterbury in 1991. And as a regular replacement as Lamb goes for goal. Misses for the first time today. But Canterbury putting the win on the board here. It's 26-8 and still a few minutes left.
Yeah, razzle-dazzle stuff here. Whoever gets caught with the ball is not allowed to go on the trip away. Look at this. They just flick it everywhere. Good angle running. Look at Serdaris changing direction and gives it back to Jimmy Dymock, who's got magic hands. Pay did well to hold them off. Half a dummy. He saw that Doolan was unmarked, and, well, my mother-in-law could have scored that one.
So back to the halfway again for Fittler. And for all that hard work, if Dean Pay hadn't have thrown the long pass, they might still not have scored.
No, he's played very well, Dean Pay, and really the Canterbury forwards have been too smart. Guys like Serdaris and Dymock have really paved the way for this victory. Also, I must confess that Terry Lamb's really stamped his mark on this game after a shaky start. And as you said, John, earlier, that he would make Penrith pay for that intercept.
Pass intercepted by Fittler. Can he go all the way? Across comes Cassell and manages to make the ankle tap. In fact, it was Darren centre. And Fittler, desperate to get the pass away, has lost it. Fittler probably frustrated that he wasn't able to out-sprint a forward. Darren centre got across.
Yeah, Terry Lamb was there also. As you have a look here, he steps off that big right foot, and it's Terry Lamb there who's on the spot to make him work. He gets rid of Terry, but Dymock there, I'm just wondering whether the feed should go with Penrith. It does.
And away goes Carter to Mackay now. Just wondering whether Brad Fittler should have really just tried an in and away to stay on the outside of centre. Once he went back inside, there was going to be cover. There was nobody on the outside. Centre was the only hope of cutting him off from the corner.
I suppose you have to give a little bit of credit there too, Canterbury. They did have numbers back to the defence.
And now some more fairly clumsy football, and Penrith have thrown it away. 26 handling errors in the game so far. Wouldn't they love to have Greg Alexander on the field?
Well, they do miss Greg. He's their organiser. As I said before, they rely on a very good kicking game, Penrith, and they just haven't had that today. Plus, that was a pretty ordinary play of the ball.
And Penrith have got it. Serdaris unable to get it. Fittler goes wide immediately to Mackay. He busts a couple of tackles.
I think he's hurt his knee. No, he's okay. I thought he hurt himself.
Fittler. MacNamara. 15 out. Can Penrith score a try? Made few breaks in the second half. Cassell. Back to Farrar. Fittler had to pick it up. They're just throwing it around and hoping. Xuereb. 10 metres out from the posts. They scored 2 tries in the first half, Penrith. None in the second so far. Clarke tries to go over the top.
They might run this.
Last tackle coming up. Fittler gets it away, and over the line goes Cassell for the try. Troy Cassell running off Brad Fittler. He is a big man. Fittler fed him the ball close to the line, and they were not able to hold him. So a try against his old club. Canterbury 26, Penrith 12. Fittler, the short ball. Polla-Mounter unable to stop the big fella.
Well, it's the right man to be running at Polla-Mounter. A big man versus a little man. And it was Fittler who held the defence up, Whittaker and Kay, but Polla-Mounter wasn't up to... And Wilson should have really, I suppose, he thought that maybe Carter was going... Not Carter, Fittler was going to kick, but he should have come out off his line. Scotty Wilson.
It's always nice to score against your old club. And he was a Penrith junior before playing with Canterbury from 90 through to 92. And then heading back to Penrith midway through this season. That would be a sweet try. Anthony Xuereb to shoot for goal, and he hits it well. That's 2 points. Penrith go to 14. They're 12 points behind Canterbury, and we've got 3.5 minutes to go.
And with a kick like that.
There's Freddie taken to the line. A little bit of a hole just outside Gavin Whittaker, but this bloke made daylight just with his bulk and his enthusiasm. He's happy to score against his old club.
After that goal kick, John, the way Xuereb kicked that, you just wonder why he isn't the first choice kicker.
Struck it nicely, didn't he?
Yes.
Graham Mackay missed 2 earlier. Now Wilson, with play underway once more, and Terry Lamb has been rested for the last couple of minutes of the game.
But I suppose they're all pretty easy when the pressure's not there, John.
Certainly, Arthur. It's like warming up at tennis, isn't it? Hitting them beautifully. They say, play, gentlemen, and you...
Yeah, this
Tighten up.
not a same thing as punching a heavy bag.
Farrar again steals away from dummy half. Well, how good are Canterbury? Can they win a grand final? Could they beat Brisbane or Canberra or St George in a grand final?
Yeah, they've got some great players there, but I just think that they lack the class necessary when you come up against a side like Brisbane and Canterbury. I think they've proved now it's that time of the season. Fittler tries to offload a pass back inside. The correct decision is ruled, but this is Adamson's ball. 6 more.
Fittler back inside to Adamson.
They want to watch themselves. There's only a couple of minutes to go.
Fittler's getting a heap of ball handles.
Oh, Mackay went without it. And then he ran into Darren's centre, and for a moment it looked as if there'd be a stink, but they quickly decided, no, that's okay.
Once again, we're talking about protecting that for and against, and I suppose Chris Anderson would want to make sure that they don't concede any more points. We're in the final 2 minutes, so they look like that's a big hit by Sparkles McGaw, is it?
Yep, he's made some good, solid tackles today, Mark McGaw, but in attack just hasn't been really able to break the line. But I guess he's been playing in a team that haven't functioned very smoothly. Haven't had enough options apart from Fittler. The kick is left by Adamson, and Singh, well, he's come up with it. Looked like a knock-on.
I thought it came off his feet. Maybe David Manson saw it that way, and he gave young Singh the benefit of the doubt.
Canterbury have put last week's loss to Brisbane behind them, and they're back on the winning track. McGaw's pass has gone forward. Can't really blame Mark McGaw. Penrith have got nothing to lose. Mackay was unmarked outside him.
Ticket number 10646. Ticket number 10646. Winning ticket in our raffle this
Penrith, who
afternoon.
came 9th last year, falling down the ladder further. They started today in equal 12th, but Canterbury finished equal 7th last year, 3 points outside the 5. They'll move temporarily or permanently, depending on tomorrow's results, back into the top of the ladder today.
Yeah, having said about that Canterbury don't have the class, you know, they've got some very good players. They have already beaten, maybe I'm underestimating them, they have already beaten Brisbane this year in the first round over in Auckland, and you know, I suppose anything can happen once they make the playoffs. If they can...
The centre gets it out to Doolan. He comes off the touchline. Doolan not far away. Desperate defence from Penrith, swarming across. Farrar just got there with Singh, and that has prevented a try right on full time. The siren has gone. A good win to Canterbury. Convincing win, 26-14. Penrith, well, too many changes through the game to go with their big injury toll. Just knocked the pattern and rhythm out of their game after they had threatened in the first half, right in the game for a good 20 or 30 minutes. But at full time, Canterbury the victors, 26-14. And Graham Mackay, one of those players who will be pretty satisfied to get the 2 points and to get back on the winning track and get back in that hunt for the top 3. And amongst all of those good players, particularly from Canterbury, who was Beetson's best.
Well, I gave the award to Dean Pay. Dean Pay was one of a very good forward pack of Canterbury. They paved the way. He came up with 34 tackles today and 17 hit-ups, and he was involved in a couple of tries. He offloaded some great balls.
And we can go down to Dean Pay with Peard.
Well, Dean, after a loss last week, it was pleasing to win. How did you see it?
Yeah, mate, after last week we got a bit of a flogging, so we had to turn it around today, and I thought we'd done a pretty good job. You know, we weren't that flash, but we got the points.
There's a bit of razzle-dazzle stuff there towards the end in which you took part in. That's good ball handling by the side, good backing up.
Yeah, well, when you run off bar, mate, he makes it pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, what about your own form? It's been very good this year. Do you put it down to anything in particular?
Yeah, lack of injuries, mate. I've had a fair few injuries, and I'm pretty fit this year, so it makes a difference.
What are you weighing?
Around about 94, something like that.
Well, it's pretty light, but you're certainly mobile and you're having a great season. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, John.
Good effort moving up to the front row from the second row for Dean Pay. It was 4 tries to 3. Tries for Canterbury to McCracken 1, Hughes 2 and Doolan 1. Lamb kicking 5 from 6. And for Penrith, Girdler, Mackay and Cassell scored tries. Xuereb kicking a goal, but Graham Mackay missing 2 earlier in the game, which would have had the scores level at half-time. At 14-all, it wasn't to be. Canterbury have gone on with it in the second half. And now we can go down to Scotty Wilson, who looks a little like Les Johns, that great Canterbury fullback.
Today, how'd you find it?
Dreadful, really. It was a mongrel of a day to play, especially a fullback. It was a fullback's nightmare today.
Well, your own form's been terrific. What about those feet? Yeah, you moved them well in the first half, found that hole nicely.
Yeah, well, as you know, Dad hasn't got them, so I got them all. So, yeah, I'm lucky in that way.
He hasn't got much at all, but you must be very pleased with Canterbury, the move to Canterbury.
Oh, mate, ecstatic. I can't believe it. Just how good a club it is. And, you know, I've really moulded in well here, which is great. And I've just signed for another 3 years. So, you know, this is me home now. I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Good. Did you learn anything from last week against the Broncos?
Yeah, you got to put them on the ground or they're going to score points. But well, you know, I think we're going through a bit of a lull at the moment. We're having trouble getting a bit motivated and that, and you know, we've got to pick it up before the semi-finals. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble.
Oh, you got the talent too, and that happens to every team. Congratulations, and say good day to Dad.
Thanks, Peard.